Welcome to Kicking Balls FC. And today, as you can clearly see, I'm back in my usual studio. It's not as hot today as it was past days. I wanted to do a post-game analysis, post-game reaction yesterday, the day after the match, but let me tell you, the 99, 100 degree weather is no joke. But today is much more, much calmer, much cooler, and actually it rained a little bit in the morning. So oh my gosh. If you're a supporter of the USMNT, the US soccer team, men's soccer team, it's like a roller coaster, man. Like, one minute you're high, another minute you're low, you're like cursing everyone, you want to fight someone, and then one half of the game, you're, you're basically thinking the worst, getting that PTSD. I'm telling you, I was having PTSD all over again after seeing that first half of Honduras versus the United States in San Pedro Sula, and oh my gosh, it was just, ugh, it just gave me some like chills just thinking about it. And then that second half came in, and oh my gosh, where was this team? Where was this team when we needed it? Especially getting those points that we needed, especially against Canada and El Salvador. But you know, we're gonna dive into that. So let's talk about uh, just how that soccer match ended up going. So the final score: Honduras 1, the USA 4 in San Pedro Sula. Let me repeat that. In Honduras, away from CONCACAF. Honduras 1, USA 4. I have never seen the US dominate a half like that I could possibly remember, because I've watched the US every single qualifier from the 98 World Cup and so on, and I don't think I can ever remember a complete half like that. Maybe against Panama in 2013, but this one, it was just merciless by the US. So let's get back into it. So what happened in the game? So in the first half of the game, Greg Berhalter started a very new formation, a formation that I've never seen before, in which they put five on the back. They put Tyler Adams as I think a left back or a right back, whatever that position was. It wasn't working, and let me tell you, that first half was dreadful. It was horrible, catastrophic. All the alarm bells were ringing, and you just saw that this team was lost. They had no creativity. They didn't have that intensity. Sure, there were a couple of spells of hope, especially that they started RICARDO PEPI, because that's the player that I wanted to start. At least they should have put him on in the Canada game. I think he would have given some good confidence, because this kid's on fire, especially in MLS. And as the first half progressed, you saw flashes of creativity, especially with Aronson, Pulisic, and PEPI. PEPI actually had a good chance right before Honduras scored. And again, John Brooks falling asleep again. I don't know. This is not the same John Brooks that I remember, being a good defender. I don't think he's good playing away in CONCACAF. And now I don't even think he's good playing at home, because I would think, if you're playing in Europe, you at least have to be decent, but so Honduras scored in the first half, I think in the 25th minute, and then you can kind of see that Honduras was just pounding on the US hard and hard. And after the first half, oh my gosh, like, I really thought that the US was not going to walk away from that game alive, and I knew if nothing changed, if Greg Berhalter was going to do the same thing he did against that Canada game, to not make any substitutions until the 80th minute, then we would have been screwed, and I think we would have said goodbye to Greg Berhalter. But then I don't even know who they would ask to manage the US team. Hopefully there's some, good candidates. So the second half starts. And there's a 3-man substitution by Greg Berhalter. Right then and there, when I saw the 3 subs, I knew that Greg Berhalter was putting everything on the line, because he says we cannot afford to lose this. We have to walk away with this somehow. So he put in Anthony Robinson, Sebastian Lletget, and who else did he put on? Not Adrian Yellen, and he came out later. I think it was, I totally forgot who it was, but I know there was a 3 substitution, and all of them actually helped, put in some work there. I think he put Brendan Aronson. There you go, Brendan Aronson. Oh, no, I kind of forgot that. So move on. Already in the 47th minute, you can kind of see flashes, and there was a good counterattack. Christian Pulisic pushing the ball forward, and then gave it try to give it across to Lletget. Lletget tried to give it to PEPI. PEPI was already in the final third, and then Anthony Robinson. Oh my gosh, this kid can ball, man. If you look at that goal that he scored, the first one to level up the game, you had to see how he sprints. This guy is a speed demon. He passed like 2 Honduran defenders that were all the way like maybe 20-30 yards away, and he just sprint them by. And then that celebration when he did that Jedi flip, it was awesome, man. The force is strong with this one, man. So they give an instant response against Honduras. And you kind of see that they have a little belief now. You're seeing that Honduras, at the same time, we also have to think about, I don't know what the Honduran coach was thinking. He actually made 3 substitutions at the same time as Greg Berhalter, because he's saying, well, if you're going to do 3 substitutions, we're going to give 3 substitutions. And they were very questionable, because I saw this, it's a tale of 2 halves. Both the U.S. and Honduras. So Honduras was really good in the first half, and in the second half, they completely collapsed. Like, absolute catastrophic collapse. And then in the U.S. side, it was dreadful in the first half, and then it was just a juggernaut of the second half. It was just a master class. And also Turner actually came out pretty big saves too. So as the second half moves on, you go up to the 70th minute, I think 60th, around there, and then Pulisic unfortunately got injured, because you had to see, man, Honduras were like freaking merciless on these freaking tackles, and I'm surprised there was no cards given at all in this game. This CONCACAF referee, I don't know where he got his credentials, but he really needs to be fired or something, because, man, like a lot of good players around the league just immediately were getting hurt left and right, especially the ones that were coming from Europe. Like Alphonso Davies got hurt after the U.S. game, but that was more him getting like maybe like a hamstring. But Pulisic was like just getting bombarded. Like that was the only I would say strategy that Honduras was doing. Beat the living crap out of Pulisic, and that will stop the attack. But guess what? The U.S. is more than just Pulisic. This is the golden generation. This is a different type of U.S. team. This is not your grandfather's father's USMNT. This is a new generation, and they showed it. So, fast forward, 74th minute. Now you see the U.S. kind of pushing, pressing, and DeAndre Yedlin just gets across right there, and Ricardo Pepi immediately gets the response, scores in his debut, and the U.S. is feeling it. They are feeling it, and they smell blood in the water. I knew that, because immediately when that second goal was scored, you can kind of see that the Honduran players, they look tired, they look jaded, they look shell-shocked, they look like they got punched in the face. And now you saw that the U.S. actually did what they were supposed to do. They were kicking some balls, literally. And that's exactly what happened against Honduras. So Ricardo Pepi got his first goal. Um, so now he was involved in the first two goals. Now you move on to the 86th minute. You can kind of see that the Honduran fans were very angry against the coach. You can kind of see that if things weren't, if Honduras wasn't, they were trying too hard for that tying goal and they were opening up space. And then what I see from here is that Alex Roldan, who came in for Pulisic, he was a baller. He knew that he really messed up in that Salvadorian game, and especially I think he might have played the Canadian game. I'm not too sure, but I know in the Salvadorian game he looked outmatched. Like I thought like we picked the wrong Roldan for our U.S. team, but going back, Alex Roldan made this play happen because Alex Roldan was fighting a 50-50 ball against an Honduran player almost on their half, and immediately when stealing the ball he actually just flicked it to Ricardo Pepi, and Pepi was basically like a freaking locomotive. He was just running and sprinting and no one was catching to him. There was two Honduran defenders that were trying to at least stop him, but they couldn't. And then Brendan Aronson was coming on his left side. Ricardo Pepi passes to Aronson and he just rockets it inside, makes it 3-1. And now you can kind of see that, yes, the U.S. was going to get 3 points away in Honduras. And it's funny because Honduras was the hardest game out of those three windows, and it kind of went on reverse. So the easiest game that we thought was going to happen was El Salvador, and then the medium hard game was against Canada, and then the hard game against Honduras, but it went backwards. We show up when it's the big hard games, but we should actually finish when it's the slow games, which is really funny. So 86th minute, everyone is jumping, everyone is just excited that we're gonna get 3 points. We're like, yes, it's gonna happen. And the funny thing is, I was watching it on Telemundo. Thank God Telemundo picked up this game, and thank goodness that I know Spanish, especially from my parents. They are from Nicaragua, and they moved here a long time ago. And it was so much passion. You can kind of tell the announcers, it says, yeah, this Honduran team just absolutely just collapsed on its head. They had no, like the U.S. had no business scoring those goals, but yet it happened. And it's a combination of the Honduran coach that had bad tactics. They didn't know how to respond. And then you can kind of see that the whole game plan was just an absolute failure. Now move on. As the game goes on the 80th, 90th minute, you can kind of see now that the Honduran fans in San Pedro Sula are now booing their own team, booing their own coach, and they're also doing the ole, ole, ole on against their own team. This fan base was so pissed off, I can't tell you. And I was even reading what was going on Twitter. Looking at the hashtag La H or Honduran football. Oh my gosh, these fans were merciless against this team. And even the radio announcers and even also the TV announcers were saying, yeah, these Honduran fans, they're not happy. This is just an absolute catastrophe of a game. I don't think they've lost that bad since 97, I believe. And fun fact, it was against Mexico. When it was on the road to France 98. So you think it couldn't get worse, right? It couldn't get worse to Honduras. Oh, it got a lot worse, and it got a lot better for the USA. So now looking at around the 90th minute, now we're going to injury time, and they were only going to give 4 minutes of injury time. So now there's another break on the midfield, and then Tyler Adams, standing. He played all 3 games. This guy is a warrior. He's a beast. He's a guy that we need on this team, no matter what. And his best position is in the midfield. I'm just saying that right now. Now, Tyler Adams gets the ball from Honduras, from a very sloppy ball from Honduras, and then he sees PEPI on his left side. An Honduran player starts going in. Basically, Tyler Adams chips the ball to his left side. PEPI could get a double for him. He tries it. The goalkeeper saves it, but he couldn't keep the ball. And then Sebastian Lletget, the boy, makes it 4-1. And that seals the deal for the USA. And that, my friends, was a good comeback from the USA. And I don't know about Honduras being the team that the US, if you notice on the last couple of games that we played against Honduras in World Cup qualifying, let's go back to the last year's World Cup qualifying. Yeah, it ended in disaster, but it was a 6-0 thumping at home against Honduras. And then if you go even further, in 2014, we did lose against Honduras in San Pedro Sula 2-1, but then we won against them back home, and I think it was a 1-0 win. So it was not that bad. But then you got to go a little bit more behind. Now look back in 2009 for the 2010 World Cup when the U.S. Beats Honduras, right? And I remember they always had to come back from a goal down. And then when they beat them, not only at home, but they also beat them in San Pedro Sula. And that was the game that sealed the deal for the U.S. to actually make it to the World Cup in South Africa. I always remember that game. I remember back then in 2009, you have to understand, there is no streaming service. There is no... you couldn't watch that game on TV or any cable. It was that hard. The only way you can do it is pirated. I didn't say that. And you just have to look on the dark web or something like that, because it was hard. And there was not a lot of fans around my area that had that game. And, it was what it was. But now going back to this game. So the final whistle, you immediately see that the whole Honduran fan base in that stadium is booing, is throwing trash on their own players and coach. And it's funny because when the coach and the players are heading towards the tunnel, the police escorts that are there actually have to use their police shields to basically block all that debris coming in. And then I remember that one of my friends who actually went to that game, I think he was a U.S. supporter as well. He actually tweeted that when Pulisic and the other U.S. team was going to the tunnel, all the fans basically stopped and actually gave him a clap and says, "Good job, U.S. Like, you guys are on a different level." And I think this is what the Honduran press said. I think we've just seen the awakened sleeping giant of CONCACAF, because I think this could be the game that can change the whole dynamic, because oh my gosh, it was insane. It was like, this is why soccer is such a beautiful sport. It's both cruel and also majestic at the same time, because 1 minute in the first half you're feeling down, you're feeling pissed off, you're feeling all this anxiety, all this fear, all this like just uncertainty of saying like, man, is this it? Is this the best we can do? Like, talking about the golden generation just, coming out flat, like, but now with this response, this gives me a little more hope. Now I think my hope finally restored again, thank goodness. And I put something on Twitter saying, thank you, US Soccer, for making me look stupid. Now I don't mind if I look stupid, but if it means that you guys are winning, hell, I take the L just for that. So I'm not worried about that. I don't care. As long as the US team is doing good, I am all happy. I don't mind. And I really want them to win. So, what does this all mean in the rearview mirror? All right. So 4-1, right? So what can that mean? So I'm gonna tell you right now what does this mean, because I'm gonna give you the live standings at this very moment. So after that game was done, that concluded all the games that played. So the games that came before was Canada versus El Salvador. Canada beat El Salvador at home in Toronto 3-0. It was just a good performance again, of Canada. Mexico versus Panama. Panama were actually winning in the first half. Mexico looked very suspect. Looked very, I don't know, like they do have the talent. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to qualify, but it's not going to be a walk in the park like I thought it would be. But I think maybe once they have Chucky Lozano, Raúl Jiménez, some other ones, maybe Diego Lainez, they'll look much better. But there was a lot of questionable refereeing in that game, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So Mexico and Panama 1-1, and then Costa Rica versus Jamaica. That one ended in 1-1 in San Jose. Costa Rica and Jamaica has not looked good. They have not convinced me, and I think the biggest team that has let me down the most, I think, is Costa Rica, and I think we're seeing that. Like their age is catching up to them. I'm kind of seeing what I saw with the US in the last qualification cycle, that Costa Rica, they already dropped 2 home games. And now you're kind of seeing that they don't have an offensive mindset. Like once they scored, they're on the defensive. And then Jamaica, they lost 2 games, one away against Mexico. But they did a good job. I really thought they had enough to tie the game. I think they should have done better on defense. That home game against Panama was just ruthless. I think that one really stung, and I think it's an uphill battle for Jamaica. And then that last game against Costa Rica maybe gave them some life, but it's going to be very hard because what's up next. So these are the standings at this very moment. So we got Mexico at first place with 7 points. Canada and the United States are tied for second, but Canada is ahead on away goals against the U.S. Because Canada did tie in the U.S. But that could change in the next windows, and I'm hoping that the U.S. will return the favor in full force when the United States and Canada play up in Canada. And I think the boys will be ready, and they'll be in mid-season form. So I think Canada, just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Panama is on 4th with 5 points, right? Costa Rica is with 2, Honduras 2, El Salvador 2, and then Jamaica at the very last with 1 point. All right. So what's funny is, like, someone pointed it out. If you would see the first 3 team standings, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., those are the ones that everyone says in CONCACAF. I'm talking about every newspaper around CONCACAF. I'm talking Mexico, U.S., Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Salvador, Jamaica, even the Canada, that they're going to be the ones that are going to qualify to the World Cup. They should qualify to the World Cup because those 3 teams are the best representations of CONCACAF, and they can really make some noise. Now, we'll see how this standing will change over time, especially with the next window coming up in October. Because October for the U.S., it goes like this. We have 2 home games and 1 away. So we have a home game against Jamaica, then we go away against Panama, and then we have a home game against Costa Rica. All right? So it is an absolute must-win for the United States for those 2 home games. You got to get 6 points. There is no ifs or buts. Like, we'll let, you know what? I will be the first one to say I was okay now thinking about it. Now that I'm a little bit more calm and collected, I'm okay dropping points against Canada. Okay? What I am not going to be okay with, if you start dropping points, anyone that's below that table right there. You cannot drop points against Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Salvador, or Jamaica at home. That is unacceptable. Hell, you cannot, absolutely must not, because it just by the drama, and then the injuries, and then also the bonehead roster selections of Greg Berhalter, what else we could have expected against that Canada game. And maybe we should have gotten a better formation. But it's absolutely no excuse. They have to get 6 points at home. And then when they're away against Panama, that would be the tricky one, because Panama is in that red list countries in the EU, or I think it's in the England. So that could be a little tricky, but I think we do have enough talent to at least come away with a point against Panama, but I am expecting 3 points. Yes, Panama's defense is good, but they're not unbeatable. And you just saw Panama, when they were playing against Mexico, they did I don't know what this coach from Panama and El Salvador was thinking. El Salvador basically lined up the back line for all 3 games. You can't there's rotations. That's why you have a 23-man roster. Rotate. Because what's going to happen is either you're going to be very tired, you're not going to be as sharp, and then Canada runs you over with 2 quick goals in less than 10 minutes. Or what happened to Mexico, where your goal scorer gets a cramp, and now you have to do forced substitutions instead of tactical substitutions. So, and then if you look at Honduras, where some of the players did play a lot of the minutes, and they just look deflated and tired. So they have to be at least, you can't have the same back 3 or back 4 or the same starting 11 playing all 3 games at the same time. They need rest, because it is grueling, especially with that travel again. So I think that looking forward, I expect that the U.S. will get 6 points, both home games. So the home game against Jamaica will be in Austin, Texas, in that new Austin FC Stadium, the Q2, I believe. And then the home game against Costa Rica is going to be in Columbus, Ohio. It's going to be in that new Cruz Stadium, which looks really nice. And then away in Panama City, I'm thinking if I were Greg Berhalter, I would bring 30-man roster, and I would specifically bring that team, as much of the team as possible that played in the Gold Cup, or they're playing really good soccer in their respective clubs, and bring them to Panama, because you want to have fresh legs against Costa Rica in the next game coming back. And against Panama, we've noticed that, just like Honduras did, you can walk away with something. I think you can. I think Honduras showed kind of the formula of how to beat Panama. And then Panama, they've gotten a lot of injuries, and we don't know how they're going to recover in time. And then at the same time, we also have to understand that, if we could get away with 3 points away in Honduras, we can get 3 points away in any of the away games. And yes, I even include Canada and Mexico as well. I'm really looking forward to that game, Canada versus Mexico in La Azteca in Mexico City. It's going to be nice. I suspect, I don't know, I have a sinking feeling, if Alphonso Davies is healthy, if everyone is healthy in Canada, there could be an Aztecaso again, and Mexico need to be very ready. But then it also depends if Canada has their best players play, because Mexico is in that red list. But I think if it's Alphonso Davies, Kyle Larin, and then Jonathan David, I think they should be fine to travel to Mexico, because I don't think France, I believe France Germany and Turkey. I don't think they put Mexico on the red list yet. I think it's only in Spain, Italy, and then England. So they have everything to play for. So that is it. So we're seeing the live standings. It's looking good. I know it's only just the first window, but the United States needs to keep up staying. They need to stay in the top 3 positions to qualify. Doesn't matter how pretty it is. Doesn't matter how stylish it is. Doesn't matter how they do it. They need to bring wins, because once you start winning your games, once you start separating yourself from the pack, then once we qualify for the World Cup, and hopefully we qualify, I'm hoping by the games that we're playing right now, because this was probably the toughest away schedule, second toughest, because the top toughest will be the last window, in which the US has to play Mexico and Costa Rica away in that same window. But my hope is that the US qualifies by the time 2022 in February. Hopefully that is the case. Hopefully that we qualify by then, because once we qualify, that's when we can start talking about tactics. We can start talking about how to play better and start scheduling friendly games from March, or I should say from the summer and so on, because we have to remember, since the World Cup is going to happen in a very wonky year in November and December, you got to think about what games are going to be available for the US and other teams around the world, because that summer window that would used to be the World Cup, it's going to feel really awkward. And if we don't have friendlies, or maybe what I would think would be pretty good, I think that the US should bring back that old 90s to early 2000s invitations, like a US invitational, like bring random countries from around the world to play in like a mini tournament, and that could give the US some more games under their belt, and then they can kind of figure out, okay, if we bring the big teams, maybe we could measure ourselves. But I don't know if FIFA will allow it, but they used to, but maybe they will, because FIFA loves money. So we're finally at the end of this stream, and I'm so happy that the US finally responded with 4-1. RICARDO PEPI, for me, has to be the number 9 starting now. Is it premature of me of saying that? Sure. But no other striker that I've seen in this World Cup qualifying has taken it to himself to take that number 9 spot for them and say, this is going to be my number 9. RICARDO PEPI, 18 years old, right? Josh Sargent, he's going to already look in his 20s. He's not producing. Maybe Bremen wasn't a good, team to stay with. Maybe you should have stayed in MLS or the USL and work his way to MLS, because you need that confidence as a striker. If you're not scoring goals, if you're not bagging goals day in and day out, I don't know what you're doing as a striker. I don't know. It's just my opinion. It's just, because RICARDO PEPI, for his young age, he doesn't look like an inexperienced player. He looks like a player that has been well-groomed, well-seasoned, a pure striker. He knows how to make things happen. So I do expect PEPI to at least start a couple of games in the next window. And then maybe we'll see if Matthew Hoppe can come back. I would love Matthew Hoppe to come back, because can you imagine that? If the US has a 2 striker system, let's say for emergencies, and you put RICARDO PEPI and Matthew Hoppe, oh my gosh. And that attack looks scary, because Matthew Hoppe has that speed, that killer instinct. RICARDO PEPI has that flair, has that agility, and has that height. And then if you really want to make people sweat, just imagine, just imagine one moment, just imagine. I'm just throwing it out there for all US fans. Just think about it. Let's say we have a game and it's a must-win game, right? And and Greg Berhalter has to put everything on the line. So just imagine if you have a front three, right? You have Ricardo Pepi, Matthew Hoppe, Daryl Dike. That is a scary attack right there. But, it's a pipe stream. So, but it's been awesome, guys. It's been awesome just sharing my reaction. I'm actually much more hopeful than I was a couple of days ago because, man, you could tell that I was just deflated. I was looking down in the dumps, and it wasn't a pretty sight, I'll tell you that. But other than that, thank you guys for joining me. And, of course, you can follow me on Kicking Balls FC, both on Twitter and on YouTube as well. So remember that we're kicking balls to the truth. And what is that truth? The beautiful game. Right? So thank you guys for sticking around. All right. Again, you can kind of see the standings there. And we're on our way, man. I really hope that we go to Qatar because I'm hoping going to Qatar next year. I really want to go. All right. So thank you guys. Stay awesome. God bless. Peace out.